Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. We just had the second round of the Carabao Cup, which were the Premier League teams have now ended to, with the majority of the ones that aren't in Europe, so West Ham have entered this competition. So I'm going to go for just a couple of the games, not going to go for every single one because there's quite a few of them. Obviously I do like I usually do, I'll start with the West Ham game, which was away at AFC Wimbledon, and this had the potential to be a bit of a scare, and it did kind of look a bit dicey for a few minutes. West Ham started off with quite a strong squad. We had majority, you'd say, a Premier League 11 out. We had a couple of youth players on the bench, but in the starting lineup it was all kind of players with Premier League experience, some international experience in there as well. So it was quite a strong lineup, so which I quite like the fact that Pellegrini's going to looks like he's going to take this competition very seriously, and hopefully it's going to be something that he's going to aim towards to win a trophy, which we desperately all want as West Ham fans. But he didn't have the best of starts. There was a big long ball punted up, and Bonner and Diop didn't really kind of handle the initial kind of long ball in, the header. They missed it. It was kind of bouncing around. It was untidy. Eventually got it out for a corner, and resulting from that corner, Wimbledon went and scored. It was a free header. Essentially, the guy lost his mark. I think it was meant to be Diop that was marking him, but he got away from him, headed. We're at a minute and 20 seconds in. Wimbledon 1-0 up. So it didn't look good. But from there, West Ham really put on the pressure. I think Wimbledon did sit back a little bit. They were still threatening a couple of long balls that Diop and Bonner was still kind of struggling to handle. But you can see West Ham were growing in the game. They were creating some chances, nothing clear cut. I think Yarmolenko had a really good chance of some getting to play with him, and Hernandez went through. Should have really at least hit the target, put it over. But it was looking like we were getting into the game, and then I think it was McDonald was his name. He fouled Hernandez at the edge of the area, which was his second booking of the game, two in quick succession, and he ended up getting sent off, which took down to 10 men, which actually, when it first happened, made it a little bit harder for West Ham to break him down, because when it was 11v11, Wimbledon just seemed a little bit more open, a little bit more happy to go forward, because they thought they could get a West Ham's defence and maybe get a second goal, and I think we had a little bit more space that way. But once it went down to 10, it kind of rewrote the game for them. They should shut up shop, stick basically 10 men behind the ball minus the striker at the front, because they took the other striker off to put a defender on, and then that made it a little bit harder for West Ham. So they kind of conceded a lot of possession to West Ham. West Ham ended up with 83%, or at one point at 83% possession. And we're just pummeling, putting some good passes together, but not really anything massively penetrating. They weren't getting in behind as much as they really should be. There was a couple of half chances. I mean, the goalkeeper made some routine saves, but he didn't have to pull anything amazing out of the bag to keep West Ham in it. So at half time, Pellegrini changed it. He took Obiang off and put Anderson on, putting more of that central role like he did against Arsenal. He kind of more of a free roam role. He's kind of moving around a bit everywhere, and that really kind of changed the game. He kind of added that little edge, little sort of urgency to the midfield, which helped massively. He was putting some passes, everything together. He was running up and down. He was kind of a bit more mobile than what Obiang was doing, because he's more of a defensive sort of midfielder. Obiang, he's not going to play that's going to spread balls around and look for that sort of killer instinct or inside pass. He's going to just ferry it across, maybe forward, and let everybody else create. Whereas Anderson took the initiative, really took the game to him. He ended up passing it to Diop, who kind of took a really good first touch and then just lashed it into that bottom corner. It was a great goal, which made it 1-1, and then from there, West Ham really overtook the game. Wimbledon was probably thinking, well, they could hold out because there's no extra time this year in the Carabao Cup. It's going to be strict to penalties. But then a corner come in. Bonner put it in after some poor defending from Wimbledon, which is quite a shame because they had played really well defensively, especially throughout the majority of the game, really. The goal that we did score was a little bit of sort of unlucky because it was from outside the area, but the second goal was poor defending. I think maybe their legs were tired. It was kind of getting them in much than playing with 10 men against 11, constantly getting hit on attack. I think the fatigue set in. Bonner got the second goal, put us ahead in the tie, and it was kind of then a formality. Wimbledon tried to kind of mount a sort of attack, but didn't really have it because, like I said, they were already down to 10 men by this point, and then on the break, Hernandez went through, ran the goalkeeper, put it in, went off the defender, but still Hernandez's goal. It was good to see him get on the score sheet because obviously you always want to get your strikers getting goals early. There was a few chances he could have scored earlier in this game, but eventually got his goal. It was 3-1. At the end of the day, we're through. Yes, we didn't look that great. There was a long period of time we thought this is going to be a big upset. Didn't turn out. Got the performance, got the result in the end. Gets a win. Hopefully puts a bit of sort of oomph and sort of life into West Ham after getting 3 defeats in the league. especially at home against Wolves at the weekend. We needed a little bit of a confidence boost. How many of these players will start against Wolves, I don't know. I'd like to see Cresswell start, as I've said before. If you're going to play forward at the back, he needs to play left back. And I think he had a good game. He was doing some good overlapping runs, and he defended quite well when he needed to, although for the majority of the game he didn't have to, because Wimbledon kind of sat back so much and went down to 10 men. And I think Anderson will probably start in that middle role. I'd like to see Yarmolenko start on the wing. I think he's done enough. Again, as the game gone, he's kind of grew into the game a little bit more. He had a chance wasted early in the game. If that would have been in the second half, he probably would have buried it. Hernandez, I think, will probably start, because I think Arnautovic might be injured for Saturday, which is a big loss, because he is our main sort of playmaker, our main goal scorer. So Hernandez will probably start. I'd like to see Yarmolenko start, and I'd like to see Cresswell start as well. So moving on to the other games. Now I'm just going to touch on a couple of them. The first one I want to start off with the Newcastle and Nottingham Forest game at the City Ground, where this was kind of maybe the biggest upset of the round. Similar to the West Ham game, Forest took a very, very early lead. We were at 2 minutes, I think. It was Sam Byram, who is on loan from West Ham, crossed the ball in for Murphy, I think the guy's name is. He scored, he used to play for Newcastle, give them Forest a 1-0 lead. And then from there, you'd thought Newcastle would then do like what West Ham did, kind of really take the game to Forest and try and get the equaliser and maybe get a winner. But it didn't really seem to happen. They couldn't quite find the rhythm, and Forest, in all fairness, were the better side. Had some really good chances, especially in the second half. They had some really good chances to kind of put the game to bed before Rondon came on, and I think in the 90th or 91st minute, put the equaliser away. So you all thought, okay, he's got the equaliser, we're going to get the penalties. It was a good finish from him. It's wearing the number 9 shirt, which is a bit weird, but to see someone like Son or Rondon, considering what players have worn that number 9 shirt for Newcastle. But that wasn't the equaliser. That wasn't the overall result. Forest went straight down the other end and ended up made it 2-1. A bit of a scramble. I think it's a cross come in. Darlow, who used to play for Forest himself, parried it out. The Forest player sticks it in the bottom corner. They all go nuts. They all go crazy because they've just got a winner. And then right in sort of added time, at the end of added time, obviously because they've had 2 goals in the injury time, there's been celebrations to that. Forest went down and scored a third to make it 3-1. And in all fairness, it was a result that they deserved. They played really well, Forest. I think they did deserve the victory. And Newcastle, I'm not too familiar with Newcastle's sort of main 11. I don't know how weak in this side was compared to a normal Premier League team. I know obviously Perez didn't start and Rondon didn't start, but they didn't look great. They're out now. Again, it's one of those sort of cliche things where if you offer Newcastle Premier League safety or run in the League Cup, they're going to take the Premier League safety, as most teams would, probably outside of probably the top 6 or 7. Obviously, then you're going to offer them either Champions League football or League Cup. They're going to pick Champions League football. Unfortunately, it's one of those secondary trophies that it's nice to win and you want to win a trophy, but most Premier League teams will look at it, they want to stay in the league because financially it's just better for them. So Newcastle, I don't think they'll be too disheartened with this. I don't think it's going to affect their season massively, but they didn't look good, and Forest definitely deserve the victory in this one. Also, there was a crazy own goal in the Stoke versus Huddersfield game. Obviously, this was a Premier League game last season. Stoke obviously got relegated, so they're the Championship side. Huddersfield are the Premier League side. Berahino scored, which is not the massive upset because he hasn't scored for over 2 years and he's a striker. So he scored to make it 1-0 to Stoke in the first half. It's the second half. And then towards the end of the game, Huddersfield are pushing players forward to try and get an equaliser. Stoke clear it, and then I think it's Bakuna, the Huddersfield defender, just slices the ball into his own goal from about 50 odd yards out. It was maybe the best own goal I've ever seen. Loves his own goalkeeper. I don't know what he was doing. He went down injured after that, claiming he was hurt. I think he was just kind of just trying to hide his embarrassment for some horrendous slice and clearance. So that was the own goal. That gave Stoke a 2-0 win over a Premier League side, Huddersfield. And also some other things. Domingos Quina, who used to play for West Ham, played for Watford. Now he left in the summer, joined Watford, and he scored some cracking goal in their game. I think it was away to Reading, which Watford won pretty easily. And the only other kind of real sort of shock was Norwich beat Cardiff away in Cardiff's ground, beat them 3-1, I think. Again, it's one of those sort of things. Cardiff scored, which is their first goal of the season, but again, off a cut of the Premier League safety, over a League Cup run, they're going to take Premier League safety. I don't think they're going to be that bothered with it. Apparently they make 11 changes, so it shows how much they're not really focusing on this cup. They're more worried about the league in this one. So the draw is tonight. Hopefully West Ham get a home draw because you want home games because you want to go see them, and hopefully it'll do send us some good to maybe win a trophy this year, which would be the ultimate goal. I would love to get to Wembley, see West Ham win a trophy. But that was it. That was the League Cup for this round. Obviously, all the European teams in the next round: Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham, Man United, Man City. They all enter it in the next round of the tournament. So hopefully, try and avoid some of those until the later rounds. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Take care. Bye.